whatever. That's a fine take. It's a fine take. It'll do. That'll do, babe. That'll do. I'm Kayla Amanda. Welcome back to my channel. And today, let's talk about some tropes that I am absolutely fucking feral for. Number one is enemies to lovers. Honestly, at this point, I think everyone likes enemies to lovers. And while I have some opinions about what qualifies as a good enemies to lovers trope, and I don't think that just reskinning your villain with a wooby rush counts, but that's for another day, because today is good vibes only. And is there anything more delicious than that moment when the snarking and sniping and rivalry turns into affection and concern and smooching? I think enemies to lovers can take a lot of forms. You've got academic rivals, you've got technically we're on the same side here, we just don't get along, and then you have I'm gonna kill you and everyone you've ever loved, and then I'm gonna salt the fucking earth when I'm done. And all of them are perfect. Enemies to lovers work so well because you can't be enemies without passion. And there's that Angelus quote about passion is the source of all our finest moments. It's the joy of love, the clarity of hatred, the ecstasy of grief. And it doesn't take an awful lot for that enemy's passion to turn into love, or at least lust. And the best context to do that in is number two, forced proximity. Now this might be because I'm a little bit lazy, and forced proximity means you don't actually have to come up with reasons for your characters to hang out. Once you get them physically into the space together, they're stuck together and they have to have character interactions. Oh no, there's a snowstorm and they're all stuck up the old country manor together. The plows couldn't possibly get there till Monday. Whatever will they do with all this time? The answer is they're gonna do it. Forced proximity can be a lot of things. It can be a school project that you're working on. It can be a physical location you're trapped in. It can be the old fanfic classic of a transporter malfunction or a magical backfire and your characters get sick if they're too far apart. But the key is that they don't choose to be together. All romance plots have your characters interacting in close quarters. That's where unresolved sexual tension happens. But with forced proximity, they have to be together. And it's that forced time together that really ramps up whatever enmity or secret crush or other plot devices you're using, because there's no break for them. Your characters are stuck together, and whatever other feelings that they're dealing with, they don't have a break from it. Number three is marriage of convenience. Marriage of convenience shares a lot in common with fake dating and more so fake married, both in general structure and in the fact that at the end of the day, it all comes down to the pining. But it is distinct. Largely because while they're still putting on a show like in Fake Married and they're acting out their wedding for an audience, they are really married. They're not pretend bound to each other. They're for really real bound to each other. They have made vows to one another. They have duties to one another, and it's not just gonna go away after this holiday party. This is for keeps, and it makes all of those moments of, oh, they don't really love me, they're just doing this to hold up the bargain, so delicious. You dumb babies are so in love. I particularly like the marriage of convenience in an enemies to lovers context, because at the end of the day, whatever their personal issues, whatever their personal grudges, whatever their oil and water personalities, they got married for a reason. They have to make this work, or otherwise all of this fighting, all of this compromise, all of this bickering has been for nothing. So they play nice in public, and then when they're in private, when they're alone, all of the day's irritation, all of the day's genuine attraction comes bubbling up to catastrophic effect. I'm rabid for that shit. Number four is the Ice Queen and the Bastard. I don't know if this is the best name for this trope, and if you know a better one, please let me know down below, but that's how it lives in my head and in my heart. It could imply a class distinction, although I'm mostly interested in it for the difference in disposition. Give me an elegant, regal, pulled-together woman and the rough, foul-mouthed bastard that loves her. I love that dynamic of two personality types that at first make them very, very difficult to see each other's point of view and to really understand each other, but at the end of the day, when they've worked out all the kinks, help them balance each other out so well. Maybe it's boring and heteronormative of me, but there's just something I love about a cocky, rough and tumble bastard who meets his match in a confident, pulled together woman who can go toe to toe with him and never get a hair out of place. I think there's like a himbo adjacent appeal that I haven't quite teased out yet. I love it when she's unflappable and he's reckless until, you know, he shakes her calm and she makes him more cautious, especially when he goes and does something dangerous and is cautious because he promised her he'd come back to her. That shit gets me right in the fucking feels. Actually, I think I just spent the last 4 tropes describing Iron and Magic, the first book of the Iron Covenant spin-off series of the Kate Daniels series by Ilona Andrews. It has all of these tropes in it, and it is done so well. I love Hugh. Unfortunately, I think you need to read the Kate Daniels books before you could possibly read the Hugh and Alara story. There's just like a lot of plot, but I think the Kate Daniels books are great. So that's a feature, not a bug. And it actually is kind of fitting since number 5 is an Ilona Andrews special. I'm not actually sure what to call this incredibly niche trope that I am f***ing rabid for, and I don't know if it really counts as a trope so much as like a thing that Ilona Andrews does. Ilona Andrews is 2 people, and I'm never sure how to like conjugate that. It's not important. What's important is the moment that our heroine does something rare and powerful with her magic, something that is great and terrible, and it makes her and everyone around her see her as in some way monstrous for a minute, something to be feared. And when she is in the pit of that, when she is feeling for the first time that whatever it is that she has inside of her, whatever magic this is, could make her inhuman or dangerous or monstrous, the hero swoops in, full hard eyes, already naming all of their kids, because look at how cool she is. Look at what a badass she is. She is powerful, and she is strong, and she is capable, and she likes him. All he sees is what a wonderful, amazing woman she is. And in seeing his easy acceptance of her, in seeing him step into this otherwise scary situation with nothing but affection and acceptance in his eyes, she can use him to prop herself up until she finds her own ground again. And there is something about that it's my favorite flavor. I love it so much. I don't really know what to call it, clearly, and I don't know a ton of examples of it. It mostly happens in Ilona Andrews books. There's a great one in the Edge series, and there's a great one in the Hidden Legacies series, but I love it so much. I love that moment when he doesn't see what she did as making her a horrible person. It's just a power that she has. It's just an ability. It's a tool like anything else. And because he knows that she is a good person, he's not afraid of what she'll do with it. And she can like use his confidence in her and his faith in her to help bolster her own until she can like find her footing. I love it so much. It's so good. So if you have a name for it, or if you have any other examples of it, please leave a comment. I want to read 10,000 versions of this. I want to read this exact scene 800,000 times. It's my favorite thing in the whole wide world. I love that so much. So that's it. 5 great flavors that taste great together. Some tropes that I'm feral for. Apparently I'm also in a very Ilona Andrews mood because this whole list was Ilona Andrews-y, and I have another Ilona Andrews centric video in the works. I'm not actually sure what order these will go up in, so if it's already up, I will link it down below. What about you? What are tropes that you're feral for? Do you agree with my list? Do you hate something on my list? Seriously, do you have any more recommendations for that last one? Because all I want to do is read that for the rest of my life, and I would really appreciate it. Any other questions, comments, concerns, complaints? Put them down below. Like, subscribe, do all that good engagement stuff. If you were looking for me just about anywhere else, it is Kayla Amanda. That is Kaylughmanda. And I will see you next time.